Spurs Film Room Live is brought to you by Fanatics, Rally House, and TicketDistributor.com. Fanatics is the global leader in licensed sports merchandise and is changing the way that fans purchase their favorite team apparel and jerseys through an innovative, tech-infused approach to making and selling fan gear in today's on-demand culture. Fanatics is built for the on-demand economy and brings much-needed agility to the industry, better servicing today's passionate sports fans and their growing real-time expectation with more unique and innovative products readily available across retail channels. Fanatics is the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all of the leagues and teams and players that you love. Spurs Film Room Live is also brought to you by Rally House, is a specialty sports boutique that offers a large selection of unique apparel, gifts, and home decor items that represent the Spurs and your favorite team. A lot of cool products that I've never seen before. Spurs logo on a couch, a rug, a table. You want that random, really cool items, go to Rally House and check out what they have going on there. Finally, last but not least, Spurs Film Room is brought to you by TicketDistributors.com. It's a USA-based company and is located in Fort Worth, Texas. Distributors was founded in 2002, and they take pride in offering a premium selection of tickets to all major events, sporting events, concerts, often even when they're sold out. Their prices are lower than most companies in the secondary market. And best of all their tickets come with a 100% back guarantee. Ticket Distributors makes every effort in offering their customers the best seats to events at the lowest prices available. Their integrity in their business is what has made them successful for over 18 years. Again, why buy your tickets at TicketDistributor.com? 100% safe buying. Over 18 years of ticket selling, 100% guarantee, secured ordering by credit card, 24-hour customer service, great seats at great prices, and last but not least, over 10 million tickets sold in their inventory at this moment. Again, Spurs Film Room is brought to you by Fanatics, Rally House, and TicketDistributors.com. If you want to go shop for your Spurs gear, or if you're looking to book a concert or sporting event, check out, you can find the links there. Click those links, head over there. And now let's get on with the show. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Yeah. Sorry, we were muted.
It happens. Spurs Nation, what's up? International friends from all over the world. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know in the chat where you're hanging out, where you're watching this from. I like to get to know where you guys are from. And we had like a Thailand in here the other day, just getting all these random people. But we're all Spurs Nation. So shout out, Que Paso, Go Spurs Go. Very special day today here at Spurs Film Room. We got Noah Magaro George from on Twitter, first off, verified on Twitter. Big deal, right? And then also from, where are you writing from, Noah?
Pounding the Rock.
Pounding the Rock. And I know you got a lot more going on, too, in the podcast world. I don't know if you've announced it and all that stuff yet, but a lot of exciting stuff there to come. Noah, first off, let's just talk about where people can find you and find all your stuff.
Yeah, so you can find my writing on Pounding the Rock. We cover everything San Antonio Spurs, Austin Spurs. You can find me on Twitter at @n_Magaro. I do a podcast with my buddies Mac and Ty. We do At the Line podcast, and it hasn't come out yet. We are going to officially start the San Antonio Spurs podcast of SB Nation in the next, maybe 2 or 3 weeks here. So I'm excited to get that started. New name, new branding, everything will be coming, and I'll let people know that. And then last but not least, you can find me on YouTube by my name, everything San Antonio Spurs there as well. And it's just Noah Magaro George, just my name. So that's where you can find me. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure, guys. If you want to check out his stuff, I believe the links are in the description below. You can go down there, click it. You can find Noah's YouTube channel. and I think his Twitter handle is there as well. So Noah, thanks for coming on, man. Today I know you got a busy schedule going on. You're always active in the world of Spurs Twitter and all this stuff, dude. So I really appreciate it. I know Spurs Nation out here was excited when I told them about you coming on this week. Let's talk about this past season. Let's get into it. This past season, ups and downs to say the least. But I think there was some ups, and I'm just kind of interested to hear kind of what your positives were and some of your high points from this past season, because it's not all bad. It was great to have basketball back in general. You know what I mean? Just with the whole pandemic and everything going on. I know it was like rough as can be on the players, but I'm sure that we all appreciated it just in general. But go ahead and give me your take, man, on what you liked from the season.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of positive from the season. I mean, they had a losing season, but I really liked what I saw from the young guys. Now, were any of them all-stars this season? No, but I thought Dejounte made incredible strides. In his first full year removed from that ACL injury, he looked fantastic. He was an all-NBA level defender, in my opinion. He grew by leaps and bounds as a distributor, as a scorer off the bounce. I thought Derrick looked really good when he was healthy. I liked the flashes we saw from Lonnie. Keldon looked really, really solid. Just in general, the young guys look great. And last but not least, Devin Vassell. I mean, he looked pretty promising as a rookie, even though he was on like a low volume, sort of low usage type of role. But I really like what I saw from them. I thought that was encouraging. And just the fact that, and maybe you don't feel the same way. I know some fans don't feel the same way I do, but this team didn't really have many moments where I thought they gave up. Right. It felt like they fought all year long. Pop said it. I agree with him on that. And there were a lot of games where I thought, okay, well, it's over. And then they didn't give up. Now, did they win all of those games? No, but it was really refreshing to see them just fight till the last buzzer. And I was proud of them. I was proud of them, and I was really happy with what I saw from the team as a whole, especially the young guys.
There was no lack in heart in this team. And that's one of the big things about the veterans that I really appreciated. Everyone likes to talk about how old Patty and Rudy are. But I'm pretty sure, I was talking about this yesterday, I'm pretty sure they were a big part of the glue in that locker room and keeping the young guys' heads on straight when things aren't going so well. And, that's the type of veteran leadership that San Antonio pays for and expects out of these guys. And it's not just by chance. These guys have the character and they mean a lot to our young guys. So, no, I have to agree with you, man. DJ, I think sooner than later we're going to do like some type of Spurs awards, right? Maybe once the season's over, do like some type of MVP giveaway and all that stuff. But DJ is definitely a huge bright spot in this season. Actually seeing him take a leap forward, because I kind of wondered there for a season, is DJ going to take that next step, and where does it come from? What area on the floor is it going to come from? And his consistency on ball, guarding on ball, was just insane, intense. I mean, pickpockets to win games, and at the end of big fourth quarter steals, and just like, bro, just, oh my God, on the best of the best in the league, just flat out game to game laid it down. And his finishing around the rim, bro, got insanely better. I think after there was a game where we played against Utah early on in the season, and he had a terrible night. I think he was like 3 for 13 from the field, missing bunnies left and right. And ever since then, man, I swear he didn't miss many. He didn't miss many at the rim. So DJ, big bright spot. Now, I don't know how you feel about this. I feel like I'm guilty of this as well. Watch. I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm guilty of it too. I don't give DeMar enough love on this content, or whatever, or much appreciation. I always talk about him. It's like 70% of the conversations about the young guys, and then it's like 20%. Yeah, well, DeMar, he's the guy. He's like, he's our best player. You know what I mean? So I kind of been thinking over the past few days since I gave you the rundown. DeMar, man, on a basketball standpoint, watching him work this season is like it was like magic, bro. It's just seeing him, what he's able to do offensively on the floor, his footwork, his the way he was getting to the free throw line, man. He was getting like 11, 12 free throws a game most nights. And just the way he scores, bro, on the block, and to me, watching him work was such a cool thing to absorb this season, because we really did build the team around him, and to play off of DeMar. Everyone's role was to play off of DeMar. I think every time he was on the floor, and he didn't disappoint, man. I know in the playoff game, yeah, that's a whole other conversation against Memphis. But I think night in, night out, watching him do what he did, it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm guilty of it a little bit too. I mean, I think every Spurs fan probably undervalues DeMar because the Spurs didn't win, and he's not necessarily the best fit for like a modern, team as the engine of an offense. But he was fantastic. I mean, I wrote a whole article about it, so I tried to show him a little bit of love that the All-Star game needs to expand the rosters because there's absolutely no reason he shouldn't have been an All-Star except for that there's just so many good players in the NBA. But yeah, he was fantastic. He was top 10 or top 11 in assists for the first time in his career. His turnover were way down. I don't exactly remember the exact stat, but he was like one of 2 players in NBA history to ever average 7 assists and less than 2 turnovers a game. Like, that was incredible. He was incredible there. Now, he had like a 40% dip in field goal percentage. I don't think he finished at the rim as well this season, but he got to the free throw line, like you said, a ton. His footwork is immaculate. He's got every sort of pump fake, ball fake that you could possibly want. He's got a very old school game. And in some ways, yes, it's frustrating, but in a lot of other ways, it's like a throwback that you can appreciate. He kind of reminds you of Jordan and Kobe in some ways when he has the ball in his hand on offense. And he really has grown a ton in San Antonio. Like when he came to San Antonio, he wasn't known as a distributor. He wasn't really an engine of an offense. He was a guy who could score, but he wasn't super efficient. And he just transformed his game in San Antonio in ways that I think a lot of, maybe more casual viewers just don't appreciate. So I really love DeMar DeRozan, the player, the person too. I mean, he's a fantastic dude, but I think it's just so hard what they asked him to do this year, be the engine of an offense in this NBA and I'm not going to say it was a bad supporting cast, but it wasn't an optimal supporting cast. And it's always going to be really hard to build a team around a guy who probably isn't the best number one option.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He needs to, he can easily be a part of a championship team, but he needs help for sure. It's just the way the game is played. You can't have anybody out there. Like Patty Mills was our best 3-point shooter this year. You know what I mean? I don't know if people understand that. Patty Mills shot twice as many as anybody else, and right behind him was Rudy Gay. And so it's like, okay, so on a game-to-game night, that was what the formula was, and everybody else kind of had to step up. And DeMar was great this season. I'm kind of going off track, but I love watching him play, watching him ball up, dude. I mean, he had a lot of game winners or shots to go into overtime. Like, this guy was just on another clutch gene this season. And that's where I thought they were going to give him the All-Star nod over Conley, was because he had already kind of proven that by All-Star break that he was a closer. Like, he was closing for us all season long in the first half. And it's just, shout out DeMar from this season. Before we go on to talking about reasons to be excited for next year, I wanted to take this time, dude, to kind of give you a little bit of shine here on your journey this year covering the Spurs, man. I mean, the last time we had kind of sat down and talked was last offseason, right? I think we did a podcast last offseason, and so I think it might even have been pre-bubble, during the quarantine.
I think it was, yeah.
Right?
We talked pre-bubble. We talked about Derrick and Dejounte, how that might look in the bubble. Yeah, it was a year ago. It's been a minute. Yeah,
so I know a lot has gone down for you, man, this year. So it's a testament to just hard work paying off, and I'm a big believer in that. And I've seen you grinding. You've been grinding for a long time, and I've been following. Me and the guys at OC, man, we all follow you, and we're all a big fan of what you do. So why don't you just kind of take me through it, man? Take me kind of how it started and kind of some big moments along the way to get to this point that you're at now.
Yeah, well, I think first shout out to Dylan Hunter Carter from Air Alamo. He was the first person who ever gave me an opportunity to write about basketball or the Spurs or really any sports in general after college. Now, I wrote for my college paper. I did some stuff at UNT, at University of North Texas, but leaving college, he was the first person who gave me an opportunity to write. It was unpaid, but it was a chance, right? He gave me a chance. He let me get my voice out there, let me get some writing out there. And then Michael DeLeon from Project Spurs reached out to me and was like, hey, man,
Michael.
You want to write? And I was on board, right? I was on board with that. I wrote. And then Pounding the Rock came, into my life, and I kind of transitioned over there into just sort of an opinion writer. And then it just feels like everything came little by little, right? Like suddenly I had, from 300 followers on Twitter to 1,000. And then from that, I had no credentials, absolutely no credentials to, I was approved for NBA credentials, Spurs credentials, Austin Spurs credentials, G League credentials, Hall of Fame credentials. And that was surreal, like sitting, and it wasn't in the room with Tim Duncan, but being in a Zoom room with Tim Duncan, with legitimate reporters, not just San Antonio reporters, but like national reporters.
Yeah.
It was surreal for me. It was crazy. There was only 77 people approved for that event.
Yeah.
And I was one of them. So for me, that was like a big moment for me, even though I didn't get to ask Timmy a question. He only took like 3 questions, but man, it was absolutely surreal. And you're right. Like, I think hard work pays off, and I see what y'all are doing at OOC and here at Spurs Film Room. And it's really awesome to be part of, this sort of Spurs media family, if you will, because it is it's been a ride. It's been a wild ride. And there's been ups and downs. Like you said, just with the Spurs season, there's been ups and downs. Like when the pandemic hit, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, right? I wasn't sure if I needed to find a new job, if I needed to, quit writing so that I could find a different occupation. But I stuck it through. I've been writing. I've been doing, I did a bunch of scouting stuff for the last draft. It's been a wild ride, and I've been appreciative for everybody who's helped me, right? Like everybody who's collaborated with me, everybody who's followed me, subscribed to my YouTube channel. Like today I hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh, you did? No way.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah. And I'm suddenly,
that's a big deal.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'm eligible for like monetization now. I mean, like a year ago when I started this, really any of this, I didn't think that this was even a possibility. I was hoping for something, but I knew I needed to work a little bit to help things go my way. And it's not just been me working, but it's been people who've supported me, from my parents, my girlfriend, my friends, other writers. Just it's been amazing. It's been really amazing. And my journey's not done yet. But it feels like I'm making progress, which makes me feel good. So thank you for giving me a second to talk about myself and acknowledge that I've kind of come a long way from the beginning of the year.
It's a grind, man. It's a grind. And, getting better along the way is just the process, and, hey man, you forgot to mention putting Spurs Nation on the map, man. You sat down with
oh yeah,
with your Noah Make It Happen, man. You sat down with Kevin O'Connor and from the Ringer, dude, and we're all a big fan of the Ring over here, so I thought that was pretty awesome too.
Yeah, and honestly, that was like wouldn't have been possible without Spurs fans. Like I reached out to him just in the comments because his DMs are closed, and I was like, hey, shooting my shot. I was hoping he would respond, and then I had like 100 likes and a bunch of retweets, and suddenly he was like, yeah, let's do it. And the same thing happened with Shea Serrano. We haven't sat down yet. We're still figuring out a time once he's done with his book, but man, it's just been crazy. I mean, really the support, the outpouring of support, the love that this community has shown me has been really incredible. And it's something that I did not expect, because I'm just another writer. I'm just another dude. But the fact that they've embraced me and I've really been a part of this community has been awesome. It's been really, really awesome.
Yeah, man. So appreciate you sharing that with Spurs Nation. If you're listening to this, make sure that you go follow Noah across all the platforms that we've been talking about this whole time. He's going to be doing more stuff in the future. So continue to show Noah all the support that y'all have. Appreciate you guys. All right, so Noah, let's take a step forward here. Reasons to be excited for next season. There's a lot on the table storyline wise, I think, for these young guys, right? There's like Derrick. It's going to be on his first $15 million contract. You know what I mean? Like, that means that the Spurs are going to ask a lot of Derrick White. Can he stay healthy? Devin Vassell is the real deal. What are his plans for next season? Right? Lonnie Walker is on the last year of his deal. And, he's proven that he's going to go out to prove, I feel like he deserves that extension, the same extension that Derrick White and Dejounte got. And, so there's that. And then there's also Luka Samanic. He fills a lot of holes in this team. And is this the year that we're going to go ahead and let him get some run finally? And, there's a lot to be played out with just those guys alone. You know what I mean? And then not even to talk about, free agency and DeMar and our vets and all that type of stuff. So, why don't you go ahead and give me one or two reasons why you're excited and why fans should be excited. Spurs Nation should be excited about next season.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to be excited about. I think it's the unknown is sort of exciting, right? They've got $51 million to spend. Not that they have to spend it all this offseason. They've got a bunch of young guys. They have decisions with DeMar and Rudy Gay and Patty Mills and, Trey Lyles. This team could look completely different. This is really, for me, and maybe this is an exaggeration a little bit, but this is the least amount of potential for continuity that we've seen maybe since the years before George Gervin. Because there's always been that guy. You've had the George Gervin, and then you transitioned. You had a small period where you were a lottery team, and then you were David Robinson, and then you had Tim Duncan, and then, you had the Tony Parkers, Manu, Kawhi for a little bit, and then LaMarcus DeMar, and now, it's the unknown, but that's exciting. It gives us a chance to see what are these young guys made of? What is Luka Samanic going to do? What is Lonnie going to do? What is Keldon going to produce like? So that for me is the most exciting thing, just the unknown and the potential for us to really figure out what this team is, what they have in their young guys. And then I guess the second thing for me that would be most exciting about this team is just seeing how they change their play style around whatever roster that they put out. Because I think Pop said it last year, is look, we didn't make the playoffs, so obviously something's got to change. Well, this is now the second year we haven't made the playoffs, and so something still has to change. Right, there's still got to be things that have got to change. So what are they going to do with the roster? How are they going to play with this roster? And so those things are what excite me, because it's a lot of potential for change, and that's not something we see a lot of in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm. And which way are we going to pivot, right? Which way? Because we have to. We're all going to pivot somewhere. Now, DeMar, man, I still don't want to rule out the possibility that DeMar is going to come back, right? So I still think it's an option on the table for him. But looking forward, yeah, dude, there's Dejounte coming off of a career year, a full 2 seasons now where he's not injured, and I think he really tested his body, and I think he's grown more confident in his body and that knee, and so a lot of storylines to be played out. 2 reasons for me though, man. I'll go through one really quick. What are we gonna do about Lonnie? And I think Lonnie's a big piece into next season, but where's his role gonna be? Is it gonna be off the bench? Is it gonna be in the starting unit? Is there gonna be a spot for him there in the starting unit? Based off this season, I think he played better starting than he did coming off the bench in the second half towards the ending of this past season. So I think Lonnie's. I had a video here the other day. I don't know if y'all saw his Instagram post where he said he had high expectations for himself and he didn't meet them, and so he's hard on himself. And I think that type of guy is going to put in the work, and I think it's going to pay off for Lonnie this year.
I sure hope it does. I mean, I think he has a lot of potential, and I'm not sure if you agree with me, but I think out of all the young guys, I'm not saying he is the best right now, but I think he has the most potential out of all of the young guys. He's got, the elite athleticism. He has the potential to be a 3-level scorer. He does need to improve things like ball handling, probably his shooting and finishing around the rim. But those are things that you can continue to build on as your career advances. And he's only 22 years old. And one of the things I like most is his potential as a playmaker. We saw DeMar really change into a legitimate playmaker, a guy who can lead in a team and assists without being inefficient. I think Lonnie has similar potential. We see him when he's able to embrace his athleticism and blow by the defense and really force it to collapse, that he can find guys on the perimeter. He has some really amazing passes, not just in transition, but when he attacked the rim, kicking it out. He had some really impressive hammer passes. He had some impressive wraparound passes. So I really like what we have in Lonnie. I'm not sure if he reaches his potential, but he's someone who excites me as well.
Yeah, dude. So he's a great playmaker also for the big. He's one of the few guys that can actually drive to the hoop and then not turn it over on a dump down to Jakob for a wide open 2. He gets other players easy buckets. So I know I want to see the ball in his hands a lot more this season, especially if DeMar's not on the team. Now that's a big asterisk, right? On everything that we're going to be planning to do in the future. And that kind of goes to my next question for you. What is your best case scenario heading into, because there's a million out there. I feel like this is freaking Doctor Strange and Iron Man. He's 9 million ways this can play out. I feel like there's just as many for the Spurs this offseason. The draft, who do we draft? Or do we draft another guard, another wing type player, or do we try to go big? DeMar's a big domino here that needs to fall. Are we going to keep him another year or 2 years and try to maybe build a championship team for him? Or are we just going to go load with these young guys and finally let them loose? So what is your best case scenario for this season?
Well, and man, I hate saying this because we just praised DeMar. I think everyone who watches basketball probably knows by now, DeMar is not a guy you can build a championship team around. I mean, the Toronto Raptors shipped him as their franchise player away for a 1-year rental of Kawhi Leonard. He's been awful in the play. And I don't mean this. I mean this in a very literal critical sense, nothing against the guy. He's been awful in the playoffs. He's been very bad in the playoffs. He was awful in the play-in. And his style of game is just not conducive to winning outside of the regular season. And the Spurs really didn't do a lot of winning even with him in the regular season. And I think he can be someone who contributes to a winning team, right? I think he can contribute to someone who wins, but he can't be your number one option. He just can't. At this point, he cannot. You're not going to have a guy except maybe Giannis, who cannot shoot, who does not play defense, be your number one option. And Giannis, he can't shoot, but guess what? He's a defensive player of the year type candidate guy. That's not what DeMar is. He's one of the worst defenders in the NBA, unfortunately. And they tried to hide him on defense. It didn't really work out that well. Mm-hmm. So for me, the ideal scenario is they let him walk, because you want to find out what you have in these young guys. You're never going to figure that out if DeMar doesn't walk. Yeah. And if you look at what they tried to do, they tried to build a team around him twice, right? This season, last season, they're in the playoffs. They're in the lottery. But for me, you're with DeMar as your best player, you're too good to be awful, but you're not good enough to be a contender. So you're kind of stuck in this basketball purgatory where you don't want to be the Orlando Magic, right? You don't want to be that, well, we're good, but we're not great. But we're bad, but we're not awful. So you don't want to be that. So I think that first and foremost, you got to move on from DeMar DeRozan. I think that's the ideal scenario. He's a fantastic player. He can help winning, but he's not where you want to be right now. And then outside of that, I think they have to add 3-point shooting. You can no longer be the 30th place team, last place team in 3-point attempts. And you can't do that and also be, 28th, 27th in 3-point percentage. When the Spurs were 28th in 3-point attempts 2 seasons ago, they were number 1 in 3-point percentage. You can live, you can get along doing that. You can't when you're also bad at shooting 3-pointers and you don't take very many of them. Yeah. So they've got to improve the personnel there. I don't know how they do it. Do they chase a Duncan Robinson? Do they try to draft a Corey Kispert, who I like him, but I don't know you take him in the lottery. He's a guy who's already 23 years old. I don't think he has a ton of upside outside of being a sort of Joe Harris, Duncan Robinson level shooter. Yeah. Do you go for a young guy like Alperen Şengün? He's really solid. He's been outstanding in one of the best basketball leagues in the world as an 18-year-old. But again, he's not a guy who's a great defender. His shooting is not really there yet. It's more theoretical than it really is tangible at the moment. If he develops the passing skills, maybe he can kind of continue developing the shot. He can be a sort of Nurkic light, if you will. So I don't know. I don't know what you do there, but I think figuring out what you want to be is also part of the ideal scenario, right? You figure out what kind of team you are, what path you want to go on, and then aim for it. Because I think these last 2 years, for all the successes of some of the young guys, of DeMar DeRozan, there really hasn't been a cohesive idea of what this team is. I feel like they just kind of fly by the seat of their pants, right? They just are what we are this game, So I think finding a direction and going that way is what's going to be most ideal for them, because you can't be non-committal. You have to figure something out.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I'd be very interested to see what happens to this team when all that happens, because I think we were talking about that a little bit before we went on air. If that's the move we're going to make, I don't think that we should be expecting playoffs in the next year or 2 seasons. And, that's just realistic until somebody makes that huge step, right? And takes that all-star level, all-NBA type level step. We've seen kind of DJ take a half step towards that. He's shown that he can be consistent. that he can be consistent at doing what he does best. I think that's what DJ showed us this year. The year before that, or 2 years, not bubble year, but the 2 years before that, Derrick White showed us a lot too. Derrick White, a full healthy season at the point guard, the year that DJ was hurt, right? I know we're going back a little bit now, but I know we haven't been able to really we got to see what them two on the floor are together too, right? As a backcourt, because we're putting in all of our marbles in on these two guys. And, it's like, okay, can they play together? The shooting, the spacing the floor shooting wise, I think that was supposed to be Derrick White this season. He shot, I think, the fourth amount of threes or made the fourth amount of threes this season. And he only played what, like 30 games, 33 games, something like that. So it's just, you know what I mean? So you can tell that the role for Derrick was supposed to be that second guy to spread the floor, maybe secondary ball handler. But we've seen it now. We've seen a full season of Derrick. We've seen a full season of Dejounte, and they're good and they're great individually. Now, what are they going to be together? Right now, are they going to be able to make it work? And then who else is going to take that next step? Is it going to be Lonnie? Is it going to be Keldon? Is Luka going to come in and finally just show the world, like, yo, I'm like one of the most talented dudes out here, because that's what I'm very high on Luka, been since we drafted him. His skill set is off the charts. It's all about the body and the confidence and the knowledge and all that stuff. And I think he's taken huge steps this season, huge steps. I remember Sean Elliott said it too during one of the games. He was like, he would give Luka the most improved player award if minutes didn't matter. Just be on the little things that he saw. Like, he's made a huge jump, at least on the Spurs team, not in the NBA, right? But on the Spurs team. And I think that's right on the money. And he provides 3-point shooting as well. So he provides look, I think on paper he provides 3-point shooting. He still hasn't really brought it to the table, but we all know, we've seen him shoot. Anyone who knows anything knows that he's going to be a great shooter in the league. Because his stroke, bro, is just pure. He's just money on it, no hesitation, no extra effort. Like, he doesn't force it. It's very smooth. This guy's gonna have a really nice 3-point shot in this league, and it's only a matter of time. And then he's gonna be chased off the line and go to the rim. Does what he do on that case.
Yeah, and I think that will be the key for Luka. I know a lot of people are high on him. I think he's a fantastic player. I really like what he has potential-wise. But one of my main things, even before they drafted him, when I wrote a short scouting report on him, is he's not really a shooter. He can shoot the three. He will shoot the three, but he's not really a 3-point shooter. If you combine and I did this a little bit of research before we got on, all of his career attempts from three, going back to when he was a professional overseas and his G League days in NBA, he's 127 of 403. That's 31%. He's never shot above 38% for more than a 5-game stretch. I mean, I think he's got some kinks in his shot where it's like, it's a smooth looking shot, but it's kind of flat. It's kind of slow. And I don't know what it is. And I'm sure you've seen it. I've never seen this before, but he stares the ball down as he shoots. And I think that's a lot of his problems. I think he's got to get a better idea of looking at the rim, because I'm not a shot doctor by any means. I'm not going to teach an NBA player how to shoot, but that's one of the things that I feel like it's got to be impossible. I mean, I tried doing it at the gym myself, like staring at the ball as I release it. I missed like almost every shot. I think he can be a good shooter, but I don't think he is at this point. But what I really like about him is the ball skills. He can put the ball on the floor. He does need to shore that up, but he can put the ball on the floor. He's a pretty willing and good passer, in my opinion. He has some really intriguing defensive skills in terms of being able to guard both 3s and 4s and also guards. Like, he's got amazing foot speed. He's got pretty good footwork. And I think a lot of people have this misconception with Luka that he's like, not that he doesn't care, or maybe that he doesn't like put the effort in. I think he's just soft spoken, and I don't think he's the most confident player out there. Like you said, like, building confidence is going to be key for him, but I think he does care. I talked to him when he was in the G League. He's just a quiet kid. Like, he's not loud spoken. Tim Duncan wasn't outspoken like that. And I'm not saying he is Tim Duncan, but I'm saying he has a lot of potential. And I think he's also someone who Spurs fans have got to give a break to, right? Like, since the day he was here and that he got drafted after, or like rather before, like guys like Matisse Thybulle, Brandon Clark, Nazir Little, like, Spurs fans were ready to have a riot. And I think they never really gave Luka Samanic a fair shake. And I think we've got to just let him develop on his own track, because not everybody's going to come in ready to play, ready to be that star. And let's be realistic. He was drafted at 19. Like, to expect him to come in right away and make an instant impact after never being in the United States before, never really playing against NBA level competition before, was really just unfair for him. So I don't want to make excuses for Luka, but I'm a huge Luka advocate as well. I think he's going to be a really good player, and I think we've got to give him a chance. The fans who are not, who aren't willing to give him a chance, please do, because I think he's going to be a good player down the line.
Yeah, I mean, Spurs Nation, those of y'all that we're talking about, can you at least give him a year to learn how to speak English? At least learn how to speak English well? Like, how long is it going to take you to, like, perfect a second language or third language? It'll take you a little while, all right? And he's got to do it on the basketball court in real time and thinking and communication. I did a video, one of my videos on him earlier on in this second season was on how I felt like that had improved. His communication and his awareness to communication and his timing with it, all that improved from year 1 to year 2, like in a huge way. So the first year one, he was kind of, I mean, I saw him in Austin a few times. He was a little slow on the rotation. I saw him at Summer League in his rookie season. I saw him there too. And he's been growing every single step of the way. So yeah, like, give him a break. Yeah, he's got a huge skill set at the 4 spot. He might be able to play small ball 5. You know what I mean? Like, I think when we brought him into the league, RC was talking about how he's one of those guys at the position that can do all the things. Like, he can dribble, pass, shoot. And you need one of those guys at your small forward, power forward position, however we want to play him. And he brings that to the table. So it's just going to be a matter of time. But I wanted to say, one of my favorite parts of this season was seeing him and Trey Jones at the end of every timeout, at the end of every quarter. I mean, those two guys were like the biggest hype zone on that bench. They came out and gave everybody dabs after every timeout, and then they would give each other a dab. I don't know if you saw that. Them two would go out together, dab up everybody, and when they're the last two coming back, they'd look at each other and then dab each other up. I'm like, cool. So he's got a friend now. I'm like, Luka's got like a homie. I mean, not that.
Absolutely, yeah. I know what you mean.
Not that like Keldon wasn't his friend. Like him, Keldon, and Quindary, they came into the league together. They went to Vegas together. They built. That's funny because I remember talking about this one of my first podcasts after they got drafted. How I felt them three, and I still believe in Quindary, but them three are going to have a long Spurs career, and they're going to have such a great bond. They're going to have such a great friendship, and it's going to transfer to the court. And I think that it already has. I think Luka picked up a lot from Keldon on like playing hard, on what playing hard in the NBA looks like, and how you can be successful playing your ass off in the NBA. I think Luka learned that from Keldon playing in Austin together, right? And so I think that's already transferring over to this season for Luka. So yeah, but it seems like now he's got like a cool buddy in Trey. And that was one of the highlights for this season for me because, like you said, he was 19 coming over to a different country, all that stuff. Dude, that's hard. That's hard on anybody, for any job that you want to go and do. Go move to another country far away from your family. And you know what I mean? It's going to be tough. So, I just wanted to point that out real quick about Luka.
Yeah, and shout out Trey. Shout out Trey for real, though, because one of the things I really loved about this season was when I was covering the G League, it's like, this guy's energy is infectious, right? Like maybe he's not the same, like scream out loud, like really get hype every second like Keldon, but he's a really, really good leader. He commanded respect from the locker room, from his teammates. And he made sure his teammates' heads were up, right? And I think that was great for Luka. When they both came back from the G League together, I think Trey was ready to play in the NBA. He just didn't have the opportunity yet. But I think Luka really, his body language for me was like the biggest thing. The body language looked fantastic. I mean, he just didn't look down on himself. He was hustling every play. So I think he's taken a lot from all these other young guys. And I agree with you. I think everything that they've learned from each other, the bonds that they've formed, not just playing in the G League, but being on the bench together, that's going to be huge for them. That's going to be really huge for them. And that's another, you're right. That's something that definitely excites me. Like I'm glad to see guys who like each other. And you can tell when guys genuinely like each other. And a lot of these young guys really do like each other.
Yeah, because I think the Spurs rather see them become the face of the franchise than go out and spend in any free agent open market. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if it's not going to be DeMar, I think the Spurs would rather give these guys the opportunity to show what they can do. And man. So amen. And Trey Jones, real quick, I was just thinking, if I were to rank like surprises this season, he would be up there on one of the like maybe top 3 on. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see how good Trey Jones was coming. And the way he played in the G League one showed me a lot. And then it just showed me what the package is, right? And I was like, okay, can he do it on the NBA level? And dude, every time he played, he showed something, a flash of something like new, something that he's able to do. And it's the jump shot part that's like kind of non-existent. But other than that, I mean, he's like this small dude finishing at the rim. He's making great plays. He's tough on defense. Like, I think he has like a really sneaky low sense of gravity, and just like he can kind of push back. He doesn't get blown over. Like, that's one of my kind of gripes on Lonnie this season was he was kind of a little fragile off screens and stuff like that. And Trey Jones, man, was just on another level.
He's a pest. Yeah, he's a pest. He's a physical dude. He won ACC Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. So he was solid. I was really happy with that pick at 41. I don't think you get a better value in this last draft. I thought he was a first round pick, so I was happy when they got him at 41.
I know, man, he's ready. I don't know. He makes the Patty Mills conversation a little bit more interesting on what we do with Patty Mills coming back. Because Trey Jones can be that guy. I think Lonnie can be that guy off the bench. You just give the whole offense to. We haven't even talked about Devin Vassell, but Devin Vassell should be probably, the second or third most on our team next season in three-point attempts. Like he's got to be up there with all those guys we're talking about. But all right, Noah, I don't want to keep you here any longer, man. I know you're a busy guy. So before I let you go, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and where they can follow your stuff?
Yeah, you can find my writing at Pounding the Rock. You can follow me on Twitter at @N_Magaro. You can find my YouTube channel. It's my name, Noah Magaro George. And there's a new podcast coming out. It's going to be the official San Antonio Spurs podcast of SB Nation. New name, new branding. It hasn't dropped yet, but I will let everybody know when that drops. And thank you so much for having me on here. I absolutely love talking Spurs basketball, and it was a joy talking it with you. I had a blast. And we got to do this again. I got to bring you on my channel too, because I always have fun talking with you.
Yeah, it's kind of boring out here in the Spurs world. So, nah, man, you're always a great time to talk Spurs basketball with. I know my listeners and my followers, they love, hearing you talk Spurs basketball. So we'll definitely make it happen again, bro, sometime soon, especially before draft. We'll get in a couple episodes.
Sounds good. Thanks again for having me on.
All right, man. Keep grinding.